When Teresa signed her first mortgage, she believed she had secured stability. But rising interest rates, stagnant wages, and soaring living costs turned that promise into pressure, revealing how fragile that security can be. Across the world, the middle class is discovering that what once symbolized safety, home ownership, may no longer guarantee it. Housing is more than shelter. It anchors middle-class identity, wealth formation, and long-term security within an economy increasingly shaped by assets and stability. For many families, a home represents permanence, proof of progress, and a foundation strong enough to support future ambitions and intergenerational mobility. Ownership allows equity accumulation, borrowing capacity, and psychological assurance that monthly payments build something lasting rather than disappearing into temporary arrangements. Renting offers flexibility and lower immediate commitment, yet it often restricts wealth accumulation and exposes households to unpredictable increases and forced relocation. When housing markets expand sustainably, construction, services, and local spending strengthen, reinforcing confidence and middle-class consumption patterns across entire regions. But when debt burdens grow excessive or prices detach from incomes, housing can transform from stabilizing pillar into quiet source of economic fragility. Owning a home represents security, social status, and long-term planning, giving middle-class families confidence and stability while shaping their financial and personal futures responsibly. Mortgages allow wealth accumulation as property values rise, transforming monthly payments into future equity that can fund education, business ventures, or financial safety over decades. Yet stagnant wages or economic crises can turn mortgages into crushing debt, leaving households financially constrained and emotionally strained, threatening stability and long-term aspirations simultaneously. Excessive investment in housing diverts money from consumption, education, or entrepreneurship, slowing personal mobility and broader economic growth, creating hidden costs beyond the home itself. Speculative markets inflate prices, forcing younger families to take higher risks for entry, creating generational divides while increasing vulnerability to market fluctuations and financial shocks. Ownership anchors families, shaping neighborhoods, schools, and networks, but a liquid property can amplify risk when housing markets falter, requiring careful policies and prudent household strategies. Renting offers mobility, lower upfront costs, and flexibility, letting households pursue careers, migrate to growing cities, or adapt to changing family and life circumstances freely. Young professionals or transient workers benefit from avoiding long-term commitment, choosing locations strategically while exploring opportunities without the constraints of mortgage obligations or property ownership responsibilities. However, renting rarely builds equity, leaving families exposed to landlords' decisions, rent inflation, and housing market fluctuations that can strain financial stability and household planning. High rental costs over time reduce disposable income, limit consumption, suppress savings, and hinder the ability of middle-class families to accumulate wealth or plan long-term. Weak tenant protections in some countries amplify insecurity, creating instability, reducing upward mobility, and leaving renters vulnerable to eviction, market shocks, and social vulnerability simultaneously. Economically, extensive renting dampens demand for construction, weakens multiplier effects, and shapes neighborhood cohesion, reflecting broader structural forces influencing social mobility, economic growth, and household resilience. Housing decisions influence more than finances. They shape careers, family size, education, and lifestyle expectations, creating long-term patterns that define opportunities for middle-class households. Home ownership often dictates location, commuting, access to quality schools, healthcare, and amenities, guiding daily life, while establishing stability and planning horizons for future generations. Families who own property plan longer term, invest in improvements, and build intergenerational security, whereas renting encourages flexibility but limits long-term financial accumulation and neighborhood attachment. Renting allows mobility, career experimentation, and lifestyle adaptation, but it often reduces social cohesion, life planning, and opportunities for community integration over time. Economic systems feel these choices. Ownership fuels construction, services, and consumption, while concentrated renting can suppress wealth, confidence, and engagement in local economic growth. Cultural norms, credit access, and policy incentives amplify effects, determining who secures middle-class stability, intergenerational wealth, social mobility, and long-term influence in society. Housing decisions carry hidden dangers, capable of destabilizing families and broader economies, where missteps in ownership or renting create long-term financial, emotional, and social consequences for households. Over-leveraged homeowners may face foreclosure during downturns, simultaneously losing shelter and wealth, amplifying stress and revealing how the pursuit of stability can ironically generate fragility. Renters risk sudden eviction, sharp rent increases, or displacement from gentrifying neighborhoods, threatening careers, education continuity, and social networks critical for upward mobility. Housing bubbles link personal finances to volatile markets, exposing middle-class families to systemic shocks, demonstrating that security through ownership can paradoxically increase vulnerability. Policymakers influence outcomes, balancing regulation, mortgage structures, and tenant protections, while informal safety nets, family, community, absorb shocks but cannot replace structural stability. Middle-class resilience depends on navigating opportunity and risk. Housing choices shape both individual fortunes and the economic stability of entire communities and nations. Governments influence housing outcomes through policy, subsidies, and regulation, shaping ownership rates, affordability, and stability, directly affecting the middle class's opportunities and sense of economic security. Tax incentives, mortgage support, and public housing determine who can access property, while poorly structured aid may widen inequality and reduce long-term societal trust. Credit restrictions slow speculation, protecting households, but can also limit first-time buyers, creating a delicate balance between stability and accessibility within housing markets. Land use laws, zoning, and rent controls shape cities, influencing social mobility, income distribution, and which neighborhoods prosper or become excluded from opportunity. Market forces interact with policy. Demand, construction costs, and speculation determine accessibility, reflecting national priorities and signaling the level of protection afforded to households. Well-structured housing systems encourage balanced growth, mitigate systemic shocks, strengthen consumer confidence, and reinforce middle-class resilience, while mismanaged policies can erode trust and economic stability. Housing markets are shaped by national policy, global capital flows, and demographic trends, linking middle-class stability to economic forces beyond local control or individual effort. Urban migration, rising construction costs, and population growth compress supply in key cities, driving prices higher and forcing households to make difficult trade-offs in lifestyle and mobility. International investment, speculation, and geopolitical shifts expose local real estate to global volatility, creating sudden risk for homeowners and renters alike, regardless of personal financial planning. Cultural norms, middle-class expectations, and social comparisons drive homeownership aspirations, often pressuring families to overextend financially, risking debt and emotional strain for perceived stability. Generational inequality emerges as younger households struggle to enter markets dominated by long-term owners, reflecting broader societal divides and constraining upward mobility within the middle class. Cities reflect these tensions. Some grow sustainably, others stagnate under rising costs and limited access, showing how housing is both a personal and societal strategic choice. The future of middle-class stability hinges on housing, income growth, and social policy, shaping wealth accumulation, mobility, and resilience across generations in every urban and rural community. Technological innovation, urban planning, and digital finance could redefine affordability, ownership, and access, offering younger households new pathways to stability while mitigating traditional market barriers. Shared living, modular construction, and alternative financing expand housing options, allowing families flexibility without sacrificing security, empowering the middle class to navigate economic uncertainty with confidence. Policymakers face the challenge of balancing ownership promotion with renter mobility, ensuring policies encourage growth, protect households, and maintain societal cohesion while limiting systemic risks. The trajectory of home ownership versus renting remains a national litmus test, signaling economic health, social stability, and the ability of families to sustain long-term prosperity. Understanding housing's role in middle-class life is essential. Subscribe for more insights, and follow to explore how policy, markets, and families shape the future together.